Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learning English Through Questions. This is a special episode from our series called Getting to Know Each Other. Our goal here is simple. We ask one question at a time, and by answering it, you'll learn new English words and perhaps even discover something new about yourself. So, let's dive right into our question for today. It's a simple one, but it can lead to some interesting conversations and reflections. Do you live alone? Let's break this down. The core of the question is live alone. Live means to reside or have your home in a particular place. For example, I live in a big city, or she lives in a small village. Alone means by yourself, without other people. So, to live alone means to reside in your home without anyone else. Now, when you hear this question, do you live alone? What comes to mind? It's a question about your living situation, your household. Think about your current home. Who shares that space with you? Are you the only person living there? If so, the answer is yes, you live alone. If there are other people living with you, then the answer is no, you do not live alone. Let's explore some of the vocabulary and concepts related to this. If you don't live alone, who do you live with? You might live with your family. This could include your parents, siblings, brothers and sisters, or even grandparents. For example, you could say, no, I live with my parents, or I live with my family. You might live with your partner or spouse. If you are married, you would say, I live with my husband, or I live with my wife. If you are in a committed relationship but not married, you might say, I live with my partner, or my boyfriend, girlfriend. You might live with roommates. These are people who share a living space, usually an apartment or house, but they are not family or romantic partners. You might say, I live with roommates. You might live with children. If you have kids, you would say, I live with my children. What are some of the advantages or disadvantages of living alone? If you live alone, some people find it very liberating. You have complete freedom to do what you want, when you want, without having to consult anyone. You can decorate your home however you like, eat what you want, and set your own schedule. This independence can be very appealing. However, living alone can also sometimes feel lonely. There might be times when you wish you had someone to share your day with, to talk to, or to help with chores. It can also mean that you are solely responsible for all household tasks like cooking, cleaning, and paying bills. If you live with others, there are different dynamics. Living with family can be comfortable and supportive, but it can also come with its own set of rules and expectations. There's a sense of belonging and shared responsibility. Living with roommates can be a good way to save money and have some company. However, it requires compromise and good communication to ensure everyone gets along and the living space is maintained harmoniously. You might have to agree on cleaning schedules, noise levels, and shared expenses. Living with a partner or spouse is often about building a life together, sharing experiences, and supporting each other. It involves a deep level of intimacy and shared decision-making. So let's go back to the question, do you live alone? Take a moment to think about your answer. If your answer is yes, you can expand on that. Why do you choose to live alone? Do you enjoy the independence? What are the challenges? For example, you could say, yes, I live alone. I enjoy the peace and quiet, and I like having my own space. Sometimes it can be a bit challenging when I'm sick, but overall, I'm happy living by myself. If your answer is no, you can elaborate on who you live with. For instance, no, I don't live alone. I live with my husband and our 2 children. We have a busy household, but we always make time for each other. Or, No, I live with two roommates. We share an apartment downtown. It's a good arrangement because we can split the rent and it's always lively. Let's think about some useful vocabulary related to living situations. Household. This refers to all the people living together in one home or apartment. My household consists of 3 people. Dwelling. This is another word for a place where someone lives, like a house or an apartment. It's a small dwelling, but it's cozy. Accommodation. This is a general term for a place to live or stay. We need to find suitable accommodation. Tenancy. This refers to the state of being a tenant, renting a property. Their tenancy agreement is for 1 year. Occupant. This is a person who lives in or occupies a place. The sole occupant of the house is an elderly woman. Consider the word solitude. Solitude means the state of being alone, often by choice, and it can be a positive experience. Someone who lives alone might seek or enjoy solitude. On the other hand, loneliness is the feeling of sadness because you are alone. It's important to distinguish between being alone and feeling lonely. Let's think about why this question is asked. It's a common icebreaker, a way to start getting to know someone. It gives insight into their lifestyle, their responsibilities, and their social connections. For example, if someone says they live alone, you might infer they are independent, possibly more organized, and perhaps more social when they are out because they seek companionship. If someone says they live with a large family, you might infer they are used to noise, sharing, and have a strong support system at home. Let's practice forming some sentences. Imagine you live alone. You could say, I live alone and I appreciate the independence. My apartment is small, but it's mine, and I live alone. Living alone has taught me a lot about self-reliance. Now, imagine you don't live alone. You could say, I live with my parents and my younger sister. We're a big family, so no, I don't live alone. My partner and I share a house with our dog. We have 2 roommates, and we've been living together for 2 years. Let's consider some more nuanced situations. What if you have a second home? Or what if you travel a lot? The question, do you live alone, usually refers to your primary residence, the place you consider your main home. For example, if you travel for work for several months of the year, but you have a house where you return, you would typically answer based on that primary residence. If your partner is away for work for extended periods but still considers your shared home as their residence, you would likely say you don't live alone. This question is also about perception. Some people might live in a house with many family members, but if they spend most of their time in their own room and interact minimally, they might privately feel a sense of living alone within that household. However, in the context of this question, it's about the physical cohabitation. Let's think about the implications of answering this question in different contexts. In a social setting, it's a casual conversation starter. In a rental application, it might be relevant to understand the number of occupants. In a survey, it helps collect demographic data. The beauty of learning English through questions is that each question opens up a world of possibilities for vocabulary and self-expression. So, let's recap our learning for today. We focused on the question, do you live alone? We learned the meaning of live and alone. We explored different living situations, living alone, with family, with a partner, with roommates. We discussed the concepts of independence, solitude, and loneliness. We introduced related vocabulary like household, dwelling, accommodation, tenancy, and occupant. The goal is to help you feel more comfortable asking and answering questions about everyday life. By practicing with simple questions like this, you build a foundation for more complex conversations. So, as you go about your day, Think about this question. Reflect on your living situation. And if the opportunity arises, practice answering it in English. Thank you for joining us on Learning English Through Questions. We hope this session has been helpful in expanding your vocabulary and your understanding of yourself and others. Join us next time for another question from our Getting to Know Each Other series. Goodbye for now.